Here we go. I will be sharing all this information with everybody. I have everyone's email addresses. If you don't want me to send you an email address, send me a quick message on the chat and I will not send you anything. Let's talk about what's happening right now. So it's uncertain times and we have and nobody has any answers to what's the future of small business and how we're going to move forward and what we need to do and how we're going to grow our business or sustain it as time goes by. So this entire presentation is based on Google. So Google has been collecting data since around mid-February. Most of the data that I have for you is from February 23rd to March 9th. That's the latest information we have. And these are based on Google searches and how people are interacting with websites and information that's online, and which industries are doing phenomenally great and which ones are declining in the amount of searches that they have, and how this is going to impact your business and how to be prepared and have a contingency plan. So we're going to talk about all of that today. I'm going to share the information I'm sharing with you is based on Google search impressions. And one of the things that we know is that there have been around a 7%. So now this number is up until March 9th. So this number could have either increased a little bit or decreased a little bit. There's not a significant change in these numbers. So we know that search impressions began to decrease about 7% below average. And this is not uncommon because around holidays or weekends, searches usually drop a little bit, but for us, this is a little unexpected. So here are some of the industries that I've collected the data to share with you guys. And these numbers are based on ad campaigns that we run. And the reason these numbers are far more important than, as an overall generic number is because we know which ads are working. We know which ads respond better depending on the keywords that are being used or depending on the search patterns and the phrases that people use to find information. So I would pay attention to my metrics if I were you, and by metrics I mean I would look at the reports that I have, and if you are running ads, look at the ads performances and kind of put them next to each other and figure out, well, this is where I am right now based on my reports, and this is what the industry standards should be. Is this going to impact my business or not? So let's get started. We know that's been a drop. So as of February 24th, there was a drop in the Google search ad campaign. So it says US, but we usually get chunked in with US numbers as well. They usually do the metrics based on what's happening in North America. There's that. So if you see the dotted line is actually the weekly searches, and the big drop is the Google search ads. And one of the other reasons why it dropped, because a lot of businesses panicked and they stopped their ads. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Most of our clients, we are advising them to kind of slow down on the amount of ads that they're running, unless if they're an organization that do provide ongoing information and do provide information that people need at this time. If you're not part of that organization, slow down your ads, kind of step back and have a contingency plan and see if this actually works for you or not. Okay. So here are some of the industries with increased performances in their search ads and searches, Google searches for their business. So business management searches grew by 23% since February 23rd. And this is kind of understandable because, our behavior has changed. We work remote, and we need business office supplies. We need to figure out what's going to happen with our shipments. We need to figure out what's happening with having a space to work out of, and some of us need to close the office space that we had that is a brick and mortar or a brick and mortar. So it makes sense why searches for office supply increases by 90%. And even their paid search ad clicks has increased by 35%. And the other thing that we always measure is the search conversion rate. And this means, so I like the fact that someone clicks on an ad, but did they convert into a customer? Do they click to come in and do something, whether they're buying or asking information, or do we have a call rail set up where they use their phone to make a call? And if they do we get that call? So there's been an increase, and because a lot of businesses and retailers have to shift their focus, there's been also an increase in online packing and shipping supplies as well by 123%. And the ads, so search ad conversion rate, which means that turned from just a click to now either a customer, or they've clicked, or they asked the question, or they filled up a form, has increased by 107%. So you can see the growth where we were in January 13th versus where we are right now as of March. Well, this information is as of March 9th. So you can see a significant growth in business packaging and shipping. Now, some of you are going to say, well, the packages that are arriving, it could be contaminated or we could get sick. That's a completely different story. These numbers are just based on industry standards of what we're seeing overall across a lot of businesses that provide that particular services. So as far as finance is concerned, the markets may be performing poorly, but it looks like now more than ever, searchers are looking for individuals that are in the finance industry. So the good thing about this is that normally these keywords for any sort of an accounting keywords or financial keywords are extremely expensive. But right now, the cost has come down because a lot of people don't want to spend the dollars. However, the searches have gone up. So you can see this in the report that if you can see, the finance has had a 23% growth, so does accounting. Not so much insurance, there's been a drop, which we're fine with, and that's for the search ads. Now for the cost per click, there's been a significant drop. So this is a really good time if you want to kind of advertise your accounting services to look at, you know, running a small campaign, not to break the bank, just to make sure that you have enough going, just to create some sort of an awareness. I know for a fact that I have called my accountant probably about 25 times in the past week with random questions about what's going to happen with our employees, what's going to happen to our, you know, corporate partnerships that we have, and what to look for. And she's amazing. She's always answering our questions. So it makes sense for, if you're in a financial field or accounting field, to put a bit of money aside for advertising right now. Beauty and personal care also has had a 41% increase in searches. What I've done is I've broken down into, so beauty and personal has had, so what's happening is there's a decrease in cost per click, which is great, because now you can, if you want to advertise, you can purchase the proper keywords that you need at a much lower rate. And there's been an increase in searches. So it's a really good time if you want to advertise, but I totally understand if you don't, because you don't want to break the bank. You don't know what's going to happen next week or the week after. So these are some information to have if you are applying to make any decisions for your advertising. So soap and hand sanitizers fall under beauty and personal care, been a 6% growth. Skincare has had a 21% growth, and spa care has had a 41% growth. Now, that may or may not mean that people want to actually go to a location for spa care, but it could be the products that are related to the spa care. At any point, if you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions. I would be more than glad to answer them. So on-demand media are Netflix, Tubi, and any sort of a organization or an entertainment company that provides content that is on demand and it can be watched or purchased. Mainly because we're sitting at home, we have nothing else to do. So we do want to watch content. So this is, again, another really good time for you guys who have products or services that you can talk about and you want to create videos. This is another good time because there's been a huge surge on YouTube time watch and average time watch and views. So if you are thinking about, well, if I want to create a video, it's a really good time because you can see that based on stats, on-demand media has had an increase. As you can see, video, films, and DVDs versus sports and entertainment and what's happening with an on-demand media. So consider that. Consider creating some videos that are entertaining about your services and products. Had a long debate about this topic a couple of days ago, mainly because it's all about, well, is it contaminated? Am I touching it? You know, it came from the store. Does this mean that the flowers are not good? Listen, again, these numbers are based on stats, and they're based on stats that Google has put together for Canada and US as a whole. So searches on the cards and greeting cards have increased by 15%. Gift baskets searches have increased by 30%, and floral arrangements by 43%. I've been watching these videos of people that can't celebrate birthdays of loved ones, and they're dropping the gifts right by the door and running away. And I actually saw it with one of my good friends that just did that not too long ago. So it kind of makes sense why someone would want to, you know, create a small gesture to make someone else feel better, and there would be an increase. So if you are a florist, it's not a bad timing to kind of, you know, increase the exposure that you wanted to increase for your business anyways. There's a 30 to 43% increase in floral searches online. And the numbers that I love is the fact that it's based on conversion, and it's not based on clicks. It's based on the fact that someone has bought or has called in for a service. And to me, that's far more valuable. Health and medical, very straightforward. Of course, because of everything that's happening, search engine rankings will grow for health and medical. Everyone wants to know what they need to do with their body, and if they're exposed or susceptible to get this horrible disease. And then that's not the only piece, because all the over-the-counter products are now, people are panicking about that as well, and they want to hoard it and collect it at home. So if you are in the health and medical field, I have, I think someone that's online right now, they own a pharmacy. Maybe it's a good time to kind of communicate with your clients and talk about, you know, what's available at your pharmacy. And there's some vital medication that some of us need. And I mean, obviously I'm not equipped to give any information about health and medical, but what I'm providing to you is, if you are in a health and medical industry, this is the time for you, because there's a surge. And here are some of the numbers that you can see. The ad clicks have dropped, not as much, but it's not as much as it used to be. However, there's a growth in search ads conversions. So they are completing an action. And this is mostly not necessarily medical supplies, but pharmaceutical supplies. Real estate. This is a really hot topic. There's tons of awesome real estate agents in this town, and real estate brokerages, and they have to work from home right now just to stay safe. So this may actually help you and make you feel not so kind of terrified of what's going to happen in the future. So the search engine page, result page ranking has increased, and not so much when it comes to real estate. So let's break this down. So property development and construction has seen a declining conversion rate by 53% and a very low search volume. But both real estate listings and real estate agent searches have seen more increase per click by 15%. However, real estate listing, I've seen a 25% decrease in conversion rate, which is absolutely understandable. But real estate agents and brokers have had a 30% increase. So they're looking for you. They may not want to make a decision right now and convert into being a client of yours or sell or buy their properties, but they're looking for you. So this is a really good timing to get your name out there as much as you can. And moving relocation has seen an 11% increase in search volume, and which is great, because we kind of, if you're again you're a real estate agent and you want to help your clients with their moving and relocation, this is a really good time to kind of promote yourself. And if you provide that service, I know some of the real estate agents that I know only want to buy or sell particular products and services. So if this applies to you, there's an 11% increase in search volumes. Think about it. And here, this is a big one, home improvement, and this actually affected a lot of smaller towns. I know with the home shows that were coming up, home improvement was a big deal because of a lot of people. This is the time where we start thinking about renovating. I am in the middle of renovation, and I know that you know, this actually affected us, and it affects a lot of people that are either in the middle of renovation or own a company that provide services, and this is their high season because of home renovation. However, so there's a decline, and I know it has affected a lot of businesses. This is the time that I would highly recommend that you start thinking of ways that you can look at, you know, the projects that you had put in the back burners, or this is the way to start promoting your business, creating a marketing strategy to help your business and promote your business along the way as soon as the market gets a bit better. Canadians are spending more time stuck at home, and they are doing projects. I know for, like, just on our street, every day people are out either gardening or fixing their house on their own. So maybe consider that and make sure that, you know, you have something about your business that's going to be promoted. Hold on one second. I gotta get this for a second. So think about that. Think about the way that you're going to promote your business once things start getting better. But for the time being, if you were planning to advertise, stay on it. Don't do anything yet because there's a huge decrease. Home furniture. This is actually hitting some of our really good clients. Much like home improvement, things are search volumes have decreased, and you know, smaller ticket items like home appliances and beddings, and you know, products that like linens, there's been a light conversion boost of 7% to 12%, but for the most part, sit on it for now. Don't advertise. Let's just see what happens, and when we get back to the normal way things were. Non-for-profit, guys, this is great because there's been a 10% increase in search ad impressions and a 23% increase in search ad conversions. Remember, ad impressions were when they see the ad, the conversions when they click and become either a client, or they donate, or they become someone who wants to consecutively donate. And there's been a 20% increase in search ad conversion rate, which we love. So if you are part of a non-for-profit organization, this is the time for you to promote yourself. This is the time where you create your community of your supporters around you. And this is a really good time when people come together. Automotive, there's been a noticeable 30% drop in the industry. And it's not good, but I mean, there's not much that can be done. So if you do own a car dealership of any sort, new or old, this is a really good time to provide a lot of good information and provide data that people can use for when they're ready to buy a car. So this doesn't necessarily mean that just because there's not a lot of search, you just got to close shop and walk away from it. No, it means that there's going to be this is the time for you to start providing information that are useful for people when they're ready to purchase the car. So I did a breakdown of what it means and which categories their search conversion rate has increased or decreased. So if you're a dealer, you've had a 42% decrease, but vehicle auctions, there was a 5% increase. Vehicle parts and accessories, 28% decrease. Vehicle repair and maintenance, 44% increase. And vehicle window tinting, 79% increase. This is just so bizarre to me, but I'm assuming people like to tint their windows. 79% of them wanted to tint their windows. Excuse me. Retail, there's been, because you had to reduce hours and operation, it is affecting you guys. I totally get it. And it's very unsure, not knowing, you know, you have to replace this brick and mortar purchases with something. And a lot of people are thinking, well, this is a really good time. You should, change your business into an e-commerce business. Yes, it is a really good time, mainly because conversion rates have fallen by 14%. However, wholesalers and liquidators, there's been a 14% increase in their cost per click and 9% increase in their conversion rate. So that being said, it is a good time to consider having an addition to your brick and mortar, which is your e-commerce platform. But again, I would spend this time planning it and look at your numbers and see if this actually makes sense for you overall, rather than just jumping into it. Because having a brick and mortar, having an e-commerce website is quite expensive, and it requires you to spend. It's just having a second job. You need to be on top of it. You need to provide content. You need to create good content. You need to provide client care service to it. So think about that before you go ahead and make that big decision. As a marketing company, I always say, yeah, go for it. It makes sense. But as your friend, I want you to sit down and think about it. Put together a plan, put together your vision board, and figure out if this works for you or not. So as you can see, apparel, art and decor, home and living, jewelry, restaurants, and toys and games. This is the decline, as you can see, by March 11th in the shopping impressions per category. Does this mean it's going to stay down? No, it's going to be great once again, but we don't know when it is. So this is a really good timing to put together a plan and figure out what your next move as far as your existing business is concerned. Job and education was again another one that the country has been shut down for weeks. And however, there's been a rise in e-learning and training online. So if you are in a sphere that you can provide online training and education online, or you have a certain product that you can, or certain services that you like to train individuals, or you have the credentials to train individuals online, this is a really good time to consider that. There's been a modest increase in paid search ads for new careers and vocational training, 10 to 8% respectively. However, again, we don't know what's about to happen. These are just numbers that we're providing that is valid up until 2 to 3 weeks ago. Add this into your plans and see if this is something that works for you along the way. Legal services is seeing some minor shift in search engine page ranking, and there's a modest 5% drop in search volumes and conversion rate. However, unfortunately, over 30% of these calls are unanswered. This is a very important point. We have clients right now that they had to close their existing office, but what they've done is they've spoken to a telecommunication company and routed all their calls from their office to their cell phones. If you have online call rails set up on your site where they get to call a particular number, you can route it back into your cell phones or your home number. So if you are in a legal industry or any sort of a business that people are calling you or could potentially call you for any sort of a business, route it back to your cell phone. And this is one of the problems that we are seeing with industries where no one's in the office. You need to update your hours of operation on your Google Maps. I know that's one of the services that they started offering, that you can pick that is closed due to COVID-19. But if you haven't added that in there, make sure you go in and check that. If you're working remotely, make sure your website, again, all the ads have your proper number on it so that people can call you. You want to track your calls if they're coming from your cost per click. When they call and you don't have a tracking set up, ask them, how did you hear about us? Did you look online? It's business as usual. Just make sure you ask all the right questions. And as I said, make sure your Google My Business has all the proper information about your hours, and it reflects on whether you guys are available or not. And you can create posts on your social media to ensure that searchers know that you guys are still active and you're working. Now, industries that are hit the hardest so far. This is pretty bad, but it's kind of acceptable. Travel and tourism, with businesses and governments and consumers avoiding travel. It makes sense. Like they went from, I think they were soaring high on the 70 percentile of the businesses that were doing extremely well within the past year to now at less than 50% drop in their searches. One of the things that's happening right now is a lot of bars and restaurants are getting hit. And I know the local chambers with the townships are trying to get individuals to have a couple nights of eating out. Well, not necessarily eating out, but ordering in food from local restaurants. So, and that's because there's been an 18% drop in the search ad impressions for restaurants and 26% for nightclubs and bars, and 59 to 57% drop in their conversion, which makes absolute sense. Yesterday we were planning to cook, and I decided it's not a good idea. I'm just tired. Let's order in, and most of the restaurants we called, they were closed because they have up to 6 o'clock time frame, and there was only a couple of restaurants that were open. And we had to go pick up the food and they wouldn't deliver. But I prefer doing that because I feel like these guys are gonna hurt the most during all of this. So if we can all help out, it will help them as well. And it's good karma, it will come back. Conferences, we were part of the DX3 and it got canceled. We didn't even get to do the first day. Before the first day, they called us up and they're like, it's canceled. They wouldn't, understandably. So now this is the other thing. Some of the conferences will postpone the event. They won't be able to pay for the money that you have spent to go in. And that's understandable. And that actually applies to some of the local businesses as well. If there was supposed to be an event and, because of this virus, they had to postpone the event, it's kind of mean and it's unnecessary to contact them and ask for your money back right away. I mean, they're postponing it. It's not because they wanted this to happen. They just couldn't stop themselves. So, and if you have had any sort of an event with any companies locally, please be understanding that they had to cancel the event. And what's happening right now is that there's a 33% reduction in conversion for all events up until further notice. And keep that in mind. So one of the questions that I was asked last week at another webinars that I was running was, should I have a couple events that I like to plan. Should I plan them for the summer? And I was like, no, because you don't know what's going to happen. You have no idea what this virus is going to do and how it's going to impact our communities. And if I were you, I would not plan anything till further notice as well. Sport and fitness. This is affecting a lot of the major leagues and rec leagues, and it's affecting camps, sport camps locally, mainly because, if they had any plans for March break or if they have any summer plans, now they have to cancel it. There's a notable exception to some of the sports programs that are available, online and offline. But again, this has a significant effect on sports and fitness. What I've noticed is a lot of fitness companies are hosting Zoom workouts, which is fantastic. So if you do have a fitness company, maybe it's time to create a program that is available via GoToMeeting or Zoom, where they can actually participate as well. And here is a breakdown of the drop, as you can see, as of March 9th. So the green line is the sports and program camps. There was an increase up until March 9th. This is every parent that has children knows this. This is the time that you sign them up for summer and March camp, summer break and March camp. And it is either plateaued or people are just waiting and not doing anything about it. So keep that in mind. If you have a summer camp coming up and it's sport related, I would highly recommend waiting till you see what's happening. Building and construction's hitting hard. There's no projects going up because everyone's waiting. And this affects, once it affects the building and construction companies, it will affect the smaller individuals that are part of the program as well. So if possible, and you do seasonal advertising, stop it for now, given that you don't know what's going to happen along the way. And here is a breakdown of what's happening with the construction industry amid COVID-19. So as you can see, there's a huge drop in our cost per click and the cost for the keywords. And there's a massive drop in the click conversion rate. This is again a good time to start providing content for people that are considering to do construction, a series of what to do's or how to do's and what you shouldn't do are really good if you're in the construction industry to kind of provide that information. One of our clients is creating a free ebook on landscaping do-it-at-home projects. I think it's a fantastic idea. It will be great content for your website if you have a website. It's great content for your social media that you can take snippets of it and post it down the line. It is great content to push later on when you meet clients and you're happy with, and they're happy working with you, you can provide it as a free gift. It's a free book anyways. So if you can come up with products, little content that I can take away as someone who could potentially work with you, this would be the time to create that content, because there's going to be a bit of a drop on this project. Now, industrial and manufacturing are slow, and they see that it is impacting their cost per click campaigns. And there's been a 5% increase for the cost, and the conversion rate in the industry has decreased by around 13% in search traffic. So what does that mean? A lot of industrial and manufacturing companies are hurting, not necessarily because people are not searching for it. So the impact could not be immediately, but the impact will be there along the way. So I would, if you are in the manufacturing industrial industry, I would put a pause on all the advertising for now, and again, come up with some projects that will create brand awareness towards who you are and what you're about, and focus on maybe the services that you guys are offering, and write about the type of machineries that are used, and maybe help out other individuals and create like an internship program or mentorship program with other entrepreneurs as well. And here's a breakdown of what's happening. There's been an 87% drop in the search ad click for industrial and manufacturing. We were at 96%, and then we're at 87% at this point. I'm going to open it up to questions, and we're always here to help. I have this data available, and I will send it out to everyone. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask it. Anyone? Sorry, anyone?
Oh. What was that?
Okay. So I'm assuming that no one has any questions. And the next webinar is tomorrow, and it's with Aurora Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to talk about marketing, the social media and marketing strategies amid COVID-19, and what to do moving forward and how it would help you. Feel free, I'm going to put that in the email that I send out to everybody as well, the time and the date. Feel free to sign up and join that as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks.